evening, members. Good evening, people. I hope you're doing good. Um, for whatever activities you're doing right about now. I know you're doing good. I'm INNOSSETU, today in studio, and I'm broadcasting live in Kampala, Uganda. Today, the situation in Uganda today, the climatic situation in Uganda today. Today it has been like in the morning it was too hot, but as the day went on, we've had hot temperatures all day today. But of course, I know, guys, you're doing good outside there. For friends that are outside Africa, USA, UK, Dubai, UAE, Japan, for wherever you are. Uh, I know you're doing good. Black people that are always watching from African countries, you do a great job. And for those that are already supporting these shows, joining in to supplement what we already say, what you do is the greatest uh, ever. For those that watch me from Facebook, that is Black Fire radio station, please and please, I beg, I'll first thank you for always tuning in through Facebook. And don't forget, if you're watching for it is your first time of watching Black Fire Network shows on Facebook. Don't forget to like and follow this page so that you can share to a person, so that he can get to know about the things that are talked about, that are concerned with African issues within the continent and outside Africa. Those that are watching us from, of course, YouTube, that is Black Fire Network, please and please. Thank you for watching, and keep subscribing in and liking and sharing videos, because this content is not found anywhere. There is no um, channel, there is no radio station or TV that does that does what we do here on Black Fire Network. And for those that watch, of course, from Twitter, don't forget to like and follow too. Today's topic is a bit interesting too. It is We want to of course talk about this kind of issue that is happening in Africa slowly, but it is happening. I know a lot of people have given their submissions. A lot of people have, of course, discussed about this issue scientifically, letting it to scientific stuff. And what I want to tell you is, my submission may not be the last submission on this, because for me, right about now, I'm in Africa. So my sub, my submission towards this shouldn't be taken for granted, because it is something that is serious. Africa, um, Africa as a continent uh, has over 54, 54 countries. Africa as a continent, it has 54 countries. But um, according to what we are seeing, Africa is splitting. Um, Africa is splitting apart. Africa wants to divide into two parts. I don't know which like what like the I don't know what this new continent that is being created how it's going to be called, but just know Africa is split into two parts. Um, Africa is a bit a big continent. For people that know Africa, Africa is a big continent. Like big, Africa is very, very big compared to other continents in the world. So uh, yes, of course. Uh, Indeed, we know that the African continent like is gradually spreading apart due to tectonic forces and African rift. So, which emerged around 2005. These claims have been going on since 2005. So, run along the eastern side of the continent over millions of years. This rift will widen, eventually leading to the formation of a new ocean. So, entire nations may drift away from the continent during the process, resulting in significant geographical changes. So, we know that yes, Africa is splitting apart, but it will take million years. Uh, we know that we know that the massive rock stretch, several kilometers, made a sudden appearance in Kenya in 2018 and has been gradually growing since ever since. So, which has more than 2 million. We know that like let's begin by asking two questions. What exactly does it mean when Africa is actually splitting apart? Uh, uh, who is actually behind? We know that uh, we know that uh, that the top results, of course, like a lot of people have given in different submissions about Africa's spreading. A lot of people have given in submissions about Africa spreading, but we know before we dive into Africa's spreading, we know that Africa is the world's second largest and second most populous continent after Asia. So, at about 30.3 million kilometers squared, so including the adjacent islands, it covers 20% of the Earth's land area and 6% of its total surface area, with 1.4 billion people as of 2021. So, it accounts for about 18% of the world's human population. Africa's population is the youngest amongst all continents. So the median age in 2012 was, of course, 19.7, when the worldwide median age was 30. So despite a wide range of natural resources in Africa, Africa is the least wealthy continent per capita and the second least wealthy by the total wealth ahead of the Oceania. So we know that different factors, including geographical climate, tribalism, colonialism, the Cold War, neocolonialism, lack of democracy, and corruption. Despite this low concentration of wealth, recent economic expansion and the large and young population make Africa an important economic market in the broader global context. The continent is surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea to the north and the Isthmus of Suez and the Red Sea to the northeast, the Indian Ocean to the southeast, and the Atlantic Ocean to the west. So the continent includes Madagascar and various archipelagos. It contains 54 fully recognized sovereign states, Eight cities and islands. Eight cities and islands are part of the non-African states, and the two de facto independent states with limited or no recognition. This count does not actually include Malta and Sicily, which are geographically part of African continent. Algeria is Africa's largest country by area, and Nigeria is the largest by population. African nations cooperate through the establishment of the African Union, which has its headquarters in Addis Ababa. Africa straddles the equator and the prime meridian. It is the only continent to stretch from north temperate to the southern temperate zone. So the majority of the continent and its countries are in the north hemisphere, with a substantial portion and a number of countries in the southern hemisphere. Most of the continent lies in the tropics, except the large and part of the Western Sahara, Algeria, Libya, and Egypt, the northern tip of Mauritania, and the entire territories of Morocco and Tunisia, which in turn are located about the Tropic of Cancer and the North Temperate Zone. In the other extreme of the continent, southern Namibia and southern Botswana, great parts of the South Africa, the entire territories of the continent, southern Namibia, southern Botswana, great parts of South Africa, the entire territories of Lesotho and Eswatini and the southern tips of Mozambique and Madagascar are located below the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern temperate zone. Africa is highly biodiverse. It is the continent with the largest number of megafauna species, as it was least affected by the extinction of the Pleistocene megafauna fauna. So, however, Africa also is heavily affected by a wide range of environmental issues, including desertification, deforestation, water scarcity, and pollution. These entrenched environmental concerns are expected to worsen as climate change impacts Africa. The UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has identified Africa as the continent with the most valuable to the climate change. The history of Africa is long, complex, and has often actually been underappreciated by the global historical community. Africa, particularly East Africa, is widely accepted as the place of origin of humans and the Homido great apes. So the earliest hominoids and their ancestors have been dated around 7 million years ago. So including, of course, the Africanus, Homo erectus, and others. So the earliest Homo spaniens or the modern human remains found in Ethiopia, South Africa, Morocco, date to circa, of course, 233,000 years ago, respectively, and Homo sapiens is believed to have originated in Africa around 330,000 years ago. Africa is also considered to be the most genetically diverse continent as a result of being a longest inhabited. So, early human civilizations such as ancient Egypt and Carthage emerged in North Africa following the subsequent long and complex history of civilization. So, migration and trade. Africa hosts a large diversity of ethnicities, cultures, and languages. So, the last 400 years have witnessed an increasing European influence in the continent, starting with the 16th century. This was driven by trade, including the transatlantic slave trade, which created large African diaspora populations in the Americas. So, from the late 19th century to the early 20th century, European nations colonized almost all Africa, reaching a point when only Ethiopia and Liberia were independent polities. So most present states of Africa emerged from the process of decolonization following uh, World War II. Following World War II. So when we go to etymology of Africa, we know that Afri was a Latin name used to refer to the inhabitants of the known North Africa to the west of the Nile River, and in its widest sense referred to all lands south and Mediterranean ancient, which was of course the ancient Libya. This name this name seems to have originally referred to the native Libyan tribe, an ancestor of the modern Berbers and the Terenci for discussion. So the name had usually been connected with the Phoenician word Afra, meaning dust, but uh, 1981 hypothesis has asserted that it stems from the Berber word "I fear." So, in the reference to the cave dwellers, the same word may be found in the name of the Bunu Ifran and Algeria Tripotania, a Berber tribe originally from the Yafran. So, Yafran in the northwestern Libya, so as well as the city of Ifrane in Morocco. So, under the Roman rule, Carthage became the capital of the province. It then named Africa Picrosonaris, following its defeat of the Carthaginians in the Third Punic War of 146 BC. So, which also included the coastal part of the modern Julius Caesar. So the later Muslim region of Africa, following the conquest of the Byzantine Empire, also preserved as a form of name. So according to the Romans, Africa lies to the west of Egypt, while Asia was used to refer to Anatolia and lands to the east, a definite line was drawn between the two continents by a geographer, Ptolemy, indicating Alexandria among the prime meridian and making Ithamas of Suez and Red Sea boundary between Asia and Africa. As Europeans came to understand the real extent of the continent, the idea of Africa expanded with their knowledge. So, other hypotheses also talk about Africa, the origin of Africa. But um, we know that the first century Jewish historians asserted that it was named after the ever grandson of Abraham, according to the Bible. So, a lot of theories have been referred to how Africa is called and the name of Africa, how it originated. We know that Messi in 1881 stated that Africa is deprived from Egyptian of Africa, meaning the turn towards the opening of car. The car is energetic double of every person, and the opening of car refers to the womb or birthplace. So Africa would be the Egyptians, the birthplace. So a lot of people, so linking there, it is also linked to the Latin word with Africa's south wind, which would be actually Umbranian origin, meaning Oregon rain wind. So Africa is linked to a lot, the name of Africa. So we have Arabic Africa, where this is usually profound Africa from Afara. So which actually means dried up by the sun. Different people named Africa depending on the relations in their language, how the word Africana, how those words meant in their languages. So that's why it is linked to very many. It is traced to very many uh, it is traced to very many roots. Africa is traced to very many roots, the name of Africa. So
Comes
I'm saying
from the
key.
freak, comes from Egypt, and also the term the Fleek people of North Africa, the original black people of North Africa, not the people you see today, not those invaders. The original people were called the Fleek. It's an Afrik tribe. So
Yeah,
look up that tribe, and that's where the name Africa comes from. They'll have you think, oh, it came from some Italian named Scipio Africana. No, the name when he changed his name whenever they conquer certain people, they would take on the people's name. So when Italy came down, Rome came down into North Africa and conquered certain areas, they took on the name of those people. He became Scipio Africana because he conquered the Africa people, the Africa. So it also has the term also back, like you said, in Egypt as well. But we know that, and also Akibalan, the name called Akibalan, that is named as Africa too. So there's many names of Africa, Akibalan. Funny how in Africa and these Arabs who now invaded northern Africa, they know they're not Africans. But they tell you, I'm not African. That's right. You're not the original person of that land. Whole continent was named after African people, after black people. The Fleek, there's one tribe or one thing even in Egypt that named the whole continent of black people. So, the Arabs will tell you honestly, I'm not an African. Yeah, but you're an African land. You're an African continent. That's how you know you're not original. So all the lies you tell people that you always hear is a lie. It's a lie. Because even there's no such place as the Middle East. No such fucking place as no damn Middle East. That's Northeast Africa. It always has been. Only been since the British came down and started colonizing that part of Africa, named it the Middle East. Middle from what? Middle from what? Middle from where's the Middle West? Where's the Middle South? Where's the Middle North? Oh, it doesn't exist. So there's no such thing as the Middle East. That's on the African plate. So Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, Oman, that's Africa. It's Northeast Africa. It always was called Northeast Africa. They made it some fake name, called it the Middle East. Middle from what? Is it middle from the West? Middle from North? Middle South? No, there's no such place. Middle East. No such place. That's Northeast Africa. Africa's a huge continent. So Saudi Arabia is in Africa. They know no damn Middle East. Dubai is in Africa. And that was all African lands and African people controlled them at one time. Those people there are invaders to that area, to that land. So that's where we know the name Africa. And those people are not Africans sitting on African land. They want to rename it so you think it's not your land anymore. Oh, they're Middle Eastern. They're from the Middle East. What are you talking about? There's no such place. In history, any place ever called the Middle East till the British renamed that shit 100 years ago. What middle what? Middle from what? Is it middle from the West? Middle South? Middle North? So there's any place called the Middle East. It's made up. It's nonsensical. That's Africa. Northeast Africa always has been called that throughout hundreds of thousands of years of history. Had some white man come 100 years ago. I'm going to name this the Middle East. We're going to take this out of Africa because we got a lot of white people living here now. We're not going to call it Africa anymore. We're going to call it what's a good term? Middle East. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. Well, how can you call it the Middle East if it sits on the north? If it sits on the African tectonic plate, it's on the plate of Africa. It's on the exact continent of Africa. It sits on the plate. That's like telling somebody that Asia is not Asia. They take a part of Asia and say, well, we're not going to call this part of Asia. We're going to call this the Middle South. Yeah, this is now the Middle South. What? It's Asia. It sits on the Asian plate. You have tectonic plates on the planet that defines continents. So Saudi Arabia, which you cover, and Oman, Yemen, all that shit over there sits on the African plate. So it's Africa. Can't be any Middle East, Africa. When they show you a map, they show you cut off by Egypt. They don't show you the other part, the Middle East that they call the Middle East. They don't show you that part when they show the African map because that's Africa too. Africa's really the biggest continent, not Asia. That's why they try to change shit and lie. But how you doing, Seth? What else Maria at? Is she taking a bath or something?
Maria, she's sick. She's not
Uh,
feeling well today, so
oh, okay. I got you.
she's at a good point. Yeah. So now, Keith, now this new continent they are talking about, will this continent be called like Africa? Will it be Africa? Because it's like a lot of people they are getting excited about this new continent. They want even to name it before it is fully separated from
It's
Africa.
about okay, you must be talking about the Rift Valley, the Rift Valley. The, it's not, that's not going to happen for hundreds of thousands of years. Said somebody. They won't. If it does happen, continue to tear apart into two continents, right? Has an ocean between it, little sea between it. You talk about like 200,000 years from now. Does it matter? You're not gonna live. You're not gonna be alive. Well, you will be alive because we never really died, but not in this form. I mean, who's gonna care 200,000 years ago? Yeah. So and then there's no guarantee that's gonna continue to keep rip. That's just that is somebody's speculation. That got the big valley, the rip, and it's splitting apart. Doesn't mean it's gonna continue. Doesn't mean it's gonna continue. It might just stop. Now you have that big ass rip. Because it would take hundreds of thousands of years for it to actually break apart. So, you know, so who's to say? Come on, we want to. What's the new continent? What? You won't be around to name it. That's not. I think like if it does split apart, okay, they say that's like 100,000 years from now. So that's a long time from today. Let me see what. Let me see what these crackpots are saying. What they think that Rift Valley will completely split from Africa. How many years do they think the Rift Valley will completely split from the continent of Africa?
How long?
One name, 1,000,000, 1,000,000 to 5 million years. What? I think it was like 100,000. You talking about one the split to create the Somali plate the next 1,000,000 to 5 million years? Man, what? They said 1,000,000 to 5 million years, Central. Who cares? Exactly. 1 million. I would think maybe 100,000, 200,000 years. They said 1,000,000 to 5 million years it'll take to split. So, what? Who cares then? 1,000,000, 5 million years from now. If you guys look at my share my screen right here, it's telling you right here. Then you got it right here. Let me look at this real quick. Search, share. Okay. You guys see that? If the continent does rupture, the rift in Ethiopia and Kenya may split to create a Somali plate in the next 1,000,000 to 5 million years. So it's going to be a long time.
Uh,
It'll be a long time. This plate coming out of Ethiopia and Kenya to split apart. It takes 1,000,000 to 5 million years for it to split apart. So I don't think we need to worry about no Rift Valley right now. Get out of there. I don't think we need to worry about the Rift Valley set. It's gonna take a long time. So people talk about what they gonna name it. They ain't gotta worry about it. You ain't gonna name nothing until like 5 million years from now. You won't be naming a new continent set to like 1,000,000 to 5 million years from now. If it does continue, if it happens. You got a long time. Long time. But you guys said to go ahead.
okay. So that this is a bit off topic, but it's something that is going on TikTok. I don't know the genesis of this. That in April, in April we are going to have, is it
On the
dark
solar.
day?
You're talking about the solar. You're talking about the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
You're talking
Yo,
about the
I
solar
don't
eclipse.
know.
Start the solar eclipse, Santo. April the
uh,
8th. Start the solar eclipse when the moon blot out the sun. Solar eclipse. But what
You
about it?
know, yeah, like my mom called me. She was like, "You bring the kids back to villages. You know, we have to pray. All the satanic
Ah,
forces are going to be
that,
coming. It's time for."
that's so. I hate to tell you, your mom is a nut. I'm gonna be your, your mom is an uninformed nut. That's what happened when the ignorance is so bad in Africa. Get back to the religion. It's
She was like, "You may not manage. There will be 3 days. You have to stock food. You make sure you don't even move out. It's better bring kids back early."
it's this what happens, family, when this what happens when you're setting up the ignorance in Africa. She's what you have is a solar event. So it shouldn't be bad. It might cause a few cell phones to go out because it blocks communications. But that's it. It's not good to be in the sky's not gonna fall. You ain't gotta go back and pray. Leave your mom alone. Let her pray in the house, and be let her be scared because if you try to tell the truth, she's not gonna want to hear you. You gotta pray. It might be about Jesus coming out. Oh my God! It's nothing more than it's a regular astrological event that happens. That happen. I don't think it's going to even happen in Africa. It's not going to happen. That the solar event is not going to be seen in Africa. It's going to be seen in the United States. The way it goes from really from Canada and comes down and makes a cross all the way through the United States and then ends down in Mexico. I don't think it's going to even affect Africa. You don't know. Like, even if you put a solar event in Africa, you're like, ain't shit happening, mom. What's going on? You better pray to Jesus. 'Cause I don't think. Let me see. Let me see the path. Oh, let's look it up. Path of the solar. Let me look this up. Let's see. On April 8th, show me the path of the solar eclipse.
Mm.
Okay, here we go. Let's see what we're supposed to schedule to go at. Images. See what's scheduled here. Exactly. Okay, so here we go. Let me show you. Let me share my screen. So you don't be taking the kids back to the village. Oh my God. Oh. Imagine that. I don't want to be reborn in some parts of Africa like I have a set to as my mother. My God. Kind of the ignorance is crazy. I mean, man. Okay, family. What you see here. This is the solar event that's going to be happening. This Becker's mom is worried about. It's going to be across the United States and all the way down to Mexico right here. It's not going to cross. It's not going to cross through Africa. So it's going to come from here. This part. There might be some parts in Europe up here and come all the way down. But this is the track of it right here. You guys look at my screen. It's not going to be all throughout the whole United States. It's going to be parts. Here's the track. So if you're in these areas of the United States and then Mexico, you're gonna experience it. I live in Florida, so I won't even see it. I live here in Florida. I won't see it at all. So if you live up here like by in upstate New York, coming down by where Chicago's right there. No, not my fault. That's Detroit. Detroit, all the way down to Memphis, all the way down to Texas, parts of Texas, all the way over to Mexico. See, so that's a national eclipse map, April 8th, exactly. I'm not going to see it unless I'm over in Texas somewhere, which I could be. But other than that, that's where it's going. It's not going to these are the states. Showing the states is going. These are the states is going through. These are the states, Texas. So it's going to Maine, New York, Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma. This is the path, the path of the solar eclipse, right? This is the path, and down in the Mexico there. It's not going to cross through Africa at all. The Africans won't see none of it, Seto. You only the sun ain't gonna be blotted out for you. You're not gonna see none of that shit. The sun's gonna still be shining for you. But if you live in those parts of America, the sun's gonna disappear for you. I don't live in that part, so I'm still gonna have the sun. If you live in those other parts I showed you, then going down into Mexico, the country of Mexico, then the sun will blot out for you. That's the solar eclipse. But if you don't live in those areas on the planet, it's not going to affect you at all. It's not going over Africa. No parts of Africa. So nobody in Africa has got to bring the Jesus free.
And I don't know why very many people in African countries they are relating to the incident to, of course, religion. The Muslims are having their different perspectives. The Christians are also having a different perspective of what is going to happen.
Because they're all crazy. Because they're all taught religion which is a lie. Their minds are all fucked up. They don't have logic and reasoning. They believe in a book that's a lie. They don't have logic and reasoning. The goopy ass Muslim realized it was the Catholic Church that created that goopy book for them. Because they couldn't get the white Arab to believe in a Christian lie. So they created a whole new lie, a whole new religion they created called Islam, called Mohammedanism. If you look at it, it wasn't called even Islam at first, it was called Mohammedanism, the followers of Muhammad, another motherfucker who ain't never lived, somebody they made up. You got people fighting Muhammad, 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 Muhammad. He's like Jesus. This motherfucker ain't never lived. He's made up. Another made up person. And they made a whole religion around. It wasn't called, like I said, you go back 700, 800 years ago when it was first coming into being, with no such thing called Islam or Muslim. It's called Mohammedanism, the followers of Muhammad. They say, oh man, that shit don't work. We gotta change the name of this goofy shit. It can't be just called Mohammedanism. They changed the name to Islam or being Islam, and people follow Islam are now Muslim. That wasn't even the name of it. But most people don't know history, though. Especially Africa. They keep Africa backwards. You don't know shit. That's on purpose. You not know history. If you knew shit, you ain't gonna believe in no bullshit. If you knew real history, like, hey man, it's some bullshit. This ain't even true. That's why you're not told history. You told Leopold was loving to African people. He's a good man. You taught all kind of nonsense. That's on purpose. So your mama can run around screaming, it's all that cliff. Get the children back to the village. That's why I said though. It benefits the people that were in the world, Africans, to be stupid and docile. So I can keep stealing the riches of Africa. That's the reason why Africa so don't know shit.
And very many pastors are now they are collecting money from people. They say like don't reach that time when you have not confessed, when you have not given in offertory to help the poor. Like people are giving in money so that to be played for before it clocks that time.
Well, that hurts. It hurts to be a moron. Hell, you get your money taken. hurts, hurts to be a moron, Seto. People can tell you any stupid shit because your mind is, you don't know anything. You're scared. Your religion got you scared. Oh my God. And I'm a no good preacher who's going to build on your fear. I know you don't know shit. I don't even know shit. But I'm gonna use it. Hey, make sure you get your tithes in. If you don't, this could be the end of your life. This is the end of the world. Make sure you're right with the Lord and Jesus, and make sure we got your money. And so when the time comes and you die, and Jesus says, you haven't been a faithful servant, you give me your money. How can I let you into heaven? So people, I hear that. Oh my God! Oh no! I want to get it. Look at my money. Oh, preacher, pastor, imam, or whatever. So that's what happens when you have an ignorant mind. It's easy to prey on. That's why ignorance is so dangerous. It's easy to be preyed upon when when you're stupid. That's why that when they conquered Africa, they made sure Africans lost all their real history. And then they put their educational systems in. That wasn't to benefit anybody African. that, was, that was to make sure you stayed stupid now and didn't know any history. That's why they fight tooth and nail, never change any of them books in Africa. You would know you get any real history, Christianity is a lie, it's made up. You could even find it, wouldn't be hard if you had real history. So nobody could fool you with in the world, give all my money, or the Muslim bullshit. You know history, say, hey, this shit's some bullshit. It's made up. It's baloney. It's nonsense. So, but if you don't know that, remember you raise your whole mom, like, because your mom was up there, imagine a whole bunch of African people raised by your mother, right? That's what most African women are. So mothers caught in that issue, raising their children to believe all kind of goofy nonsense and lies. If the child doesn't grow enough to question it, remember, now you told them, don't you question God and question your mama and your daddy. As a child, you're supposed to question everything. That's how children learn. They're supposed to question their mother. They're supposed to question their father. They're supposed to question everything around them so they know what's true and what's not. And Africa has now become completely backwards. You're told not to question anything. Then how the fuck do you learn? If I can't question anything, I'm just supposed to believe everything? So learning is about questioning things, Cheto. Questioning. If I can't question it, then it's not real. It's a lie. If this God is real, it's supposed to stand up to my questioning. You telling me don't question God. Now, you got your fucking mind. If it's real, I'm supposed to question it so I know if it's real. Does it stand up? Does it stand up as a lie or the truth? The truth must be questioned, Cheto, to know that it's the truth. Everything must be questioned. Talking about don't question shit, but don't question nothing, then I don't know nothing. I'm caught in ignorance. Don't question me. Don't question God. How the fuck do I know this is God? Because you tell me it's God. When did you get this bullshit, mama? When did you know about this God? What's yours? When did you get this shit? Well, I got it from my grandmama. Now you know she wasn't fucked up and stupid then. But I can't question your ass. I can't question grandma. Maybe grandma was a drunk. Didn't know what the fuck was going on. How about that? You're supposed to question everything. I'm not supposed to don't question nothing. What if I don't question nothing? I stay in ignorance. That's why you got your mother bring the kids back to the village and then pray. I can show you right there. Look it up through reasoning and logic. It's the path of it, etc. Not going to affect you in Uganda. You don't have to bring the kids back to the village and pray. If you have logic and reasoning, that you're supposed to teach your children as the children to question everything, that means your children start looking for the truth and find the truth in the lie. That's why. That's why she got you to take that vaccine. What? No. Hell no. No, I love you. Don't listen to nothing your mama tell you, Seto. Take it, look at her and say, I love you, mama. Don't be disrespectful. Don't be disrespectful. Your mother, but you smile and say, okay, mom, I hear you. And you walk away. She don't know what the hell she's talking about. It like some crazy shit my mom used to say. I was like, okay, mom, I hear you. I'll walk away from her crazy ass. She don't know the fuck she talking about. So go ahead.
I just imagine how people are on tension in villages because my mom is a vivid example of what's there. What is there is an ambassador in my village. So I just imagine what is in the village, how people are on tension, how people have started saving for that period.
There you go. Giving all their money. because they're scared, Seto. You pray on people. Religion was made to pray on your fears. They're scared. If you don't have any knowledge, it's easy to put you in fear.
I don't know. I don't know why these religious people confuse people. like they are telling people there are going to be a lot of thieves during that time. A lot of people are going to be killed. They are threatening people. They're making people to fear. My mom told me all those things that like Satan is going to come out. Is going like it is the time for souls that Satan took when they're going to be taken to his place. So everyone is with fear. Everyone is threatened.
Because ignorance is it's so bad. That the ignorance is so deep. It's so, and then and then you put it in a religious mind that doesn't, that can't, that cannot compute. Because I don't like to make fun of people, Settle, but that's how deep the ignorance is. And then you really can, because they haven't been taught how to reason and how to have logic. That's been devoid of their upbringing. They've been taught with religious superstition. They haven't had any reason. So how do you tell your mom how was your mother? Like 50, 45? How was your mother? How you tell a 45-year-old mind reasoning and logic who's been growing up all their life with superstitious bullshit? How do you uncouple that? As Dr. Eric about the African colonized mind, how do you unchain your mother's mind, Seth? Because she is the majority in Africa. I'm using her only as an example. I'm not picking on her. I'm using her as an example. How do you chain that? How do you unchain that mind? Because it's shackled in superstitious nonsense. It's almost like a slavery mind. Almost like a slave mind. So how do you unshackle that mind? How do you unshackle it? Because it was raised, that whole mention your mom being raised from the time she was born with superstition. Now, ain't none of that shit she believes is true. It's all made up bullshit, right? The man, her whole life, she's been inundated with propaganda. So now you find yourself at 45, well, how old your mother is, and you try to bring a logic and reasoning. She's going to reject it. Her mind can't even fathom what you're saying. You're like, so how do you get her out of that fear-based, what they call a colonized mind? How do you get her from that colonized mind? She tells you bring the kids back because there's going to be some evil shit. It's got to be souls and people snatching souls. You're like, what? Mama, you crazy as cat shit? Yes, yes, I am, baby. I've been brought up in craziness. So, but you know what? No one's gonna be snatching anybody's soul, Seto. You don't have to. And if you don't give your tithes to the fake church, nothing's gonna come and get you. Okay? The real creator universe doesn't need your fake money. Creator doesn't need any of your money, Seto, or anything from you. The creator universe creates everything from its mind, everything they have. Nothing you can give the creator or take away from the creator that would make it more or less. The cash thing came from the white man. It's a fake to fund their religion shit. The real creator who exists doesn't need your cash. He's bigger. He's bigger. He's bigger than your cash, Sheto. Or your dollars, or your Chinese yuan, or your yen, whatever currency you got, your Ugandan shillings, your Kenyan shillings. The creator needs none of that. He don't need it. He's good, Seto. He's good. He doesn't need your money. I think something that's everlasting, that doesn't die, doesn't never begin. Which is actually true. The Bible took that from ancient African texts. They took that shit from African spirituality about the real creator. Never been, never lives, never dies. I don't think they need your cash. I don't think your cash gonna make the creator live no longer than eternity. Live longer than eternity. I don't think the creator needs your cash that can create a whole universe and planet out of nothing. I don't think he needs your cash. I think it's good without your money.
Some people they are even selling now. They are selling their things cheaply, so they don't want to be affected by by the situation.
So now they're selling off their shit. this, this is not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. It's sad. It's funny, but it's not funny. I'm so scared, and based on something I don't even understand. And now I'm selling off my shit. I'm selling off my stuff cheaply because I'm scared this might be the end of the world. Teta, please, I got a deal for you. Buy my phone. I'm gonna sell it cheap. But that's a nice phone. It usually costs like 500 Ugandan shilling. I'm gonna sell it for 10. Take it, Seto, please. Because that's based in fear and superstition. So that's what happens, Seto. You based on, and ignorance is a powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing. You can manipulate people, but they can't reason, have logic. They're easy. That's why Africans are easily manipulated. That's why you sit on the richest continent on the planet and everybody's poor. You know, that you're manipulated mentally. Not that you're not physically strong. You're mentally weak. You're caught in lies, and you grow. They put you in propaganda. I say, I always ask you a question. Why do you think none of these despots ever change the educational system? You're supposed to got freedom in Uganda and Kenya, but everybody got the same European education. Why is that? Because it's manipulation. It's mental enslavement. See, mental enslavement is worse than physical enslavement. Because physical enslavement, you break the chains off, you kind of, I'm free. But mentally, are you free mentally? Are you really free? No, you're not. You're a mental slave. So your mother and other people are mental slaves. They, get the kids back to the village. Oh, say, Mom, nothing's going to happen. It's not even come across that. Who told you this? I got a vision from Jesus. And the pastor told me, you bring your damn paycheck back to the village, Seto, and give it to the pastor. Well, Mom, I work for my money, not the pastor. But are you speaking out against the Lord, Seto? Are you going against Jesus? Yeah, I am. Jesus ain't do shit to get my money. I work to get this money, Mom. What are you talking about? Get my money to some make believe motherfucker in the sky?
In Africans, we are funny. When it comes to things, Africans exaggerate everything, even without knowing the origin of or like of anything. They exaggerate now and then.
No, that's everybody's nature. So we all exaggerate, especially if you don't know any history. We're going to exaggerate things because human beings are prone to exaggeration. Just like if I tell you a story, right? If I tell you something, and by the time you tell somebody else and tell somebody else, that story will be completely changed from the time I told you to the 10th person getting the story. I might say, Settle, you know what? I was driving my car and I had a flat tire and I had to fix it. So you tell the next person that story gets to be, he tells somebody, keep the driving the road, and a lion jumped out on him, tried to eat him while he was trying to fix his tire, but he got away. And by the 10th person, they told that story to, keep the drive. It was a lion, and a hyena came up behind him, started biting on his leg, and took off half his leg. No, I told you at the beginning, I just had a flat tire and I had to fix it. Now hyena and a lion gnawed off my leg, and I was in the hospital, needed treatment. So people are prone to exaggerate. So we're prone to exaggeration. So religion is the worst. So because our minds have made an image of things we believe instead of having real knowledge. Your mind is very powerful. So that's what can happen. So that's what happens. So, it's a tricky situation. Your mom really, she's acting out of fear, not logic, because she's scared. She told the prison, hey, it's a solar eclipse coming. It means all kind of things are going to happen. You make sure you bring your money in because it's about you be getting right with God. She's like, oh, shit. Let me call my son. Central, you get the kids to the village? Now, shit's going to get crazy. if you say logically, Mom, look, The solar eclipse not going to go over Africa. No, the pastor knows better than you, boy. The pastor told me to get ready. Told me to get food and clothing and all kind of hot food and all water, all kind of shit. But mom, it's not going to affect us in Africa. Who told you that? Jesus just told me something. If you get the goddamn kitchen and get our water and food settled, I'm not listening to you. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Things as African because we don't know our identity and confusion has become the rationale. Yeah, most likely, Lando. But we were never the Africans were never taught to have logic and reason. We were also given. Remember, it's mandatory in Africa that everywhere you ever know, everywhere in the world, it's illegal. But Africa to teach religion in school. Africa, it's mandatory that they learn religion in regular school, primary school, secondary school, high school. That's a mandatory course. In the West, it's illegal. You can't be teaching nobody no fucking fantasies in school. That's make believe shit. If you want to believe it, cool. If you don't, I know you're on this one. Grandma, I'll be on the other one a little bit. Me and Joe will be on Black Eye Fire Network, the other one, doing the show. And I'm coming on tonight too. I'm coming on tonight, Saturday, Friday night, and Saturday. Where I got to go to Texas. No. I got to go down to Miami Sunday. You're supposed to pay money to the pastor so that Jesus will let you know. I know. That's those mom right there. You better he gonna come home with the kids and tell me he ain't getting no money, no pastor. They got the solar eclipse happening. Shit, Seth gonna get his ass out that house. I dare you, boy. You're not giving your tithes to the Lord. Mom, it's not gonna affect us here in Africa at all. Who told you that lie? Your people you work for, your black hot fire nonsense, boy. You better quit that place. You better quit. you better quit and find a real job, nigga. You better quit that place. That man trying to lead you astray. All right. You're crazy.
By the way, at first I denied like mommy's request. Like I ignored like her messages at first. I
Yeah.
then she called like 3 times. I thought the thing was so serious. I not even checked about this incident. I didn't know that it's going to happen. Checking on TikTok, it was all over TikTok.
Yeah.
I got to know I should got it. And the bad thing is like whenever we try to talk to people, like we try to show them light about certain things. On Sundays, they go to church, they get other trash from the church.
Yeah. That's on purpose. That's on purpose.
No.
Oh, oh, guys, we hired a new person to fulfill Katie. You know, Katie's gone, so we brought the we had you guys don't be up in the morning, early in the morning to see the interview. So we had like 20 interviews the last 2 weeks of the girls and the dudes coming in. And so we picked one girl. We didn't want to do no more interviews. We got like everybody needs a job. Shit, we got like 100 people. I said, no, we can't do no more interviews. So we chose one young lady. She'll be starting Monday. I think her name is Sarah. So Sarah will be starting Monday, guys, in place of Katie. You know, place of Katie. And you know, Katie had blocked us on all our social media, right? But she forgot we got a whole. I got to tell Jovi to take that video so we can post it. Katie forgot that we have a whole backroom staff, a whole office. You know, she knows we got a whole office of staff back there that have their own computers. That's not completely connected to Black Ops 5. I never put our damn information on those computers. So today Joey went into Katie's account, her TikTok account where Katie's talking shit, talking shit about us, and then said, I almost got evicted. I had to hide my lock They about to throw me out of my place. Hey, Katie, because Joey showed me, I'm laughing. I'm on the one, because we got a whole sales office, right, guys? And Joey's on one of the computers. I'm looking at Katie, like, he tried to throw me out of my apartment. I got my lock from him. I was like, Katie, they're gonna throw you out, baby. You can't pay the rent. They're gonna eventually get you out of there. So said, yeah, my religion is a tool. Yeah, religion is a tool to program the African system of white supremacy and fake life. Exactly. That's what support. That's why they love white people. They own enemy. You looking at some white man on a wall, and this dude, these people, your enemy. They don't want stealing from Africa. They want to put these puppets in power to make you. They want to get you to 70, and 70 been in there for foot. Seto ain't never known another president in his life. Only been 70 since he been alive. Now they trying to groom his goofy son, General Captain Crunch to take over. But white man don't tell him no, he's not gonna be no president. You can groom all day long. You're gonna come and get your body there. You did your time. We don't want your son. We got Bobby Wine waiting. So your son is not gonna be able to put him in power. They tell him the 70 still gonna try. They let them know, no nigga, no. We put you in power. Your time is up. We're not letting your son come out. These pastors live in a white neighborhood an hour away from the church while we're in the ghetto next to the church, giving them all our money. Exactly right. Exactly. They living all good. Jesus provides. Look what Jesus bought me. Jesus ain't bought your shit. We bought that shit. We just put it to my look what Jesus got. Look at the car I got from Jesus. Hey, why don't you ask Jesus for the money then? We don't want you ask us for the money, but then you claiming Jesus bought it for you. Your parishioners bought that shit for you, not no Jesus. You want to give us the credit for buying you the shit? Look what Jesus got. I got my house through Jesus. When did Jesus give you any money? Wasn't the people in your church? Yeah, but through Jesus. And the Africans are clapping. Yeah, Jesus got it for them. But hey, moron, didn't you put money in the plate? Didn't you give money to this Scoopy church? Yeah, but it's because of Jesus. No, stupid, it's because of you.
And by the way, very many people have failed to work upon their lives just because they think Jesus is going to do something in their lives, rather than going in for actual working, rather than doing business. In Africa, people are very crazy about religion, but it is like these people, the pastors, they get people, they pay out people to give testimonies. People that we have pastors in Uganda that work in South Africa and within Uganda. People believe so much with these pastors. Like a pastor comes on a crane within the church, and people believe that like this it is the Holy Spirit that is carrying these people.
That's called a con game. That's why these goofy preachers can go. They know it's the same over Africa. That's why you got a Ugandan preacher. He can go to South Africa and get money. South African preacher can come to Uganda and get money. Nigerian preacher can go to Tanzania and get money because it's the same scam about a white man. Yeah, Lord, I'm coming. And they all profit. They all profit. Said, I'm prophet. I'm prophet Ezekiel, and God talks to me directly. Then why don't God give you the money? Why I gotta give you my money? Why don't God give you that money? God makes everything. Why can't God give you the money? Why I gotta give you the money then? If you're talking directly with God, why can't God give you some money? Why you gotta come out my pocket? Yo, God to give you that money. I'm broke, God damn it. I'm broke, said oh shit. Tell God to give you the money. I'm broke. I don't got no money for you. I'm broke. I got 3 kids. I got 3 kids to feed at home. I don't got no money to give you. Go tell God. Shit, what's wrong with you? You said you're talking to God and you God's prophet. Tell God to give you some money. Why you coming to me for money then? Shit, hell wrong with you? That's logic and reasoning. That's logic and reasoning. That's what you would think logic and reasoning skills, which most Africans don't have. Why you asking me for money? You said you the prophet of God. Why you ain't asking his ass for the money? Why you coming to me then? You his prophet. Jesus never asked for no damn money. He's the prophet of God, or the son of God. He would say, hey, give me some cash.
I think if you're seeing this pastor, is a Ugandan pastor comes on a crane.
The crane.
Yeah, that people think that he's jumping like it is Holy Spirit carrying him up.
Come on, Seth. People know that's a crane. Come on. You trying to tell me they that ignorant? They don't know that this nigga's on a crane? Come on, Seth. They don't know he's on a crane for real, Seth. You trying to tell me they don't know he's on a crane? They don't know that? For real, Seth. They think he's actually flying.
People don't know. People don't know. Whenever people see him like he's up there, they think like it is Holy Spirit carrying him up. And people in Africa, we are so look at this guy.
Wow, you talking about a childlike mind. You're talking like a childlike mind. That's scary, Seto. You scaring me, brother.
And by the way, people, people that are scammed because these people have big churches in, of course, in urban centers, in places like
Of
Kampala,
course.
and people going in there, like people expect people from towns to be and having a different kind of understanding from other peoples in the villages, but all people are stupid.
Yeah.
All people are stupid. Like they don't like they can't see such things and interpret what's going on with these pastors in of course in capital.
But it's the same thing. It's just you're isolated in ignorance, not given any real education. If you're growing up in a system of ignorance and poverty, Seto, that's where your mind's gonna go. Your mind's not gonna because then you're told not to ask questions. You're told not to even ask questions as a child. Are you out of your mind? As a child, that's what you're supposed to do, Seto. You're supposed to ask because a child's mind is a sponge. You're supposed to ask everything. Mommy, how's this work? Daddy, how's this work? Daddy, who's this? Who's this Jesus? Who's this Allah? How you know him? What's this? How does this do this? Why does this work like that? Well, that's what a child's supposed to do. That's why when you see children, they what? Ask questions. Because that's the norm. You shut up a child's mind by telling you don't question God. You don't question Allah. Well, damn. What? So you stifle a child's mind into ignorance. And that's why you got people like you said in them big churches don't know what the hell's going on. Like, I'm scared. The solar eclipse coming. I'm scared. That's all I know. I'm scared. God damn it. So I know that though. I'm scared. Shit. Listen to your ass telling me shit. I'm scared. Hell wrong with you. Talking your shit. Telling me don't get prepared for the solar eclipse. I said, yes, but it's not hitting Africa. It's not going to come across the African continent at all. Are you the pastor, Seto? Are you Pastor Ezekiel? How do you know? Because I read it in the book, and here's the astronomical chart right here. I don't know about no astronomical chart. I know about Pastor Ezekiel, prophet. He said, "Get ready," and I'm getting ready. You blaspheme against God, you dirty nigga.
And the funny thing with people is like someone can get a loan from a bank so that he takes that money to church for that money to multiply. People, if there is a people funny. Someone gets a loan from a bank so that he takes that money to the church so that that money can multiply. Gives that money to the pastor for that so that the money gets multiplied. Are so funny. I don't know what people think about their lives in Africa. Besides anything, leaving all other factors constant in Africa, I don't know how people think about themselves with these confusing religions that are growing every day. It is very difficult in Africa, like in Uganda. Let me talk about Uganda. because
Ain't
I know
just
Uganda.
you got listen. When you say Uganda, Seto, just say Africa because it's the same. I want you to know it's copy and paste. What you think is just Uganda, it's Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania. It's copy and paste. But go ahead, you got it.
Yeah. It is very difficult to see churches in Africa like to move a 3 kilometer distance without meeting a church
That's
or a
right.
praying.
Now you guys
It's
remember now remember what sorry Seto, I don't mean to cut you off. Now remember on Joby's show, the guy from Kenya he called in was saying the same. He said you can't go nowhere in Kenya without bumping into a church. I said I tried to tell him like I told Seto. That's all Africa. That's not just Kenya, not Uganda. You go to Ghana, every other corner there's a church. Nigeria, every other corner is a church. Maybe not in the north because that's mostly Muslim. But in South Africa, every other corner there's a church. Every other corner in Tanzania there's a church. Every other corner in Congo there's a church. That's on purpose. But it's never no every other corner where you're getting good education. That's on purpose. That's on purpose. Go ahead. Go ahead. I said this.
And by the way, recently in Uganda, there is a certain pastor who gave in a full church to tradition, like to tradition, to culture people in Uganda. A pastor gave in a church to culture people. He was like, "Oh, these religions are fake. Now I'm turning back to the roots of my ancestors." He gave in a full church and even followers.
They called him a devil worshiper or something. Probably you bringing the devil in here. Yeah, it's a fake. And the funny part about it, Sector, most of these preachers they know it's fake, but they get money from it. It's a business now. Most of them, if they do any studying, it leads them out of the church and they, oh my God, this shit is fake. But they love the lifestyle. They've been given a good lifestyle by being in the church. They've been given a great lifestyle. So do I want to tell people the truth and be poor? That I found the truth? Do I got integrity? Or where I just keep the scam going up, the scam going because it's made me a nice lifestyle, Seto? Am I gonna give up this lifestyle now to tell the truth? I don't think I'm gonna do that.
True, true. And I see most of these churches, like most of these increasing, expanding churches in Africa, they're of mats, these local mats.
Hmm.
They're made of local mats. And these people, I don't know how people think. You find a church here, another church there, but having different followers going to different churches. Yet they are the same religions.
Exactly. Those are called the denominations. They did that because it's smart. Christianity is a smart scam. You might not agree with this denomination a little bit, but you agree with this one. But it's still called Christianity, even though it's a little bit different. So it's like imagine you having a cake and you cut a cake and this part you don't like. Say, I don't like chocolate cake. Okay, so let me see. I don't want to lose him. So let me make this cake right here. This part of this cake vanilla or strawberry. So it's one whole cake, but a different taste in that cake. That's how Christian Islam is. That's why you got so many different versions of Islam and all these different versions of Christianity. Because I can't afford to let you go. So I'm gonna give you a different taste of Christianity. I'm gonna call it Baptist, Episcopalian, Protestant, Catholic, 7-day Adventist. We have all these different slices on the cake, Jehovah Witnesses, but it's all Christianity. You just get to choose the one that tastes good to you. But I'm still got your ass. Still got you. That's how it works.
And by the way, in villages, recruiting of different people, of recruiting of Africans to churches is done door by door. It is a door by door thing. Like someone comes with a book, writes your number, writes your names. When it comes to Sundays, they call you. Said, where are you? You convert from there. They call you so that you attend services on their churches or their
Right.
different churches.
Said the way, hey man, I'm at the house chilling. You go do what you do, man. I'm not coming to your church, and you do what you do. I wish you luck, and please don't call me no more with that bullshit. Call me no more with that bullshit. Don't call me no more with that bullshit. To my where I'm at. I'm a grown ass man. Call me to my where are you? I'm at home. That's where I'm at. And don't call me no more with that bullshit. Where you at?
Like,
Imagine this man calling you to my where you at. What? You better not call me no more with that shit.
like I said, Africans exaggerate. There is one time certain Bazungus came at our home
Of
with
course.
they came with things. They were like water. They were like, this is holy water. And there is a woman, when they powered that water on that woman, there is a way woman reacted. She was like, the Holy Spirit has touched my soul. I felt the Holy Spirit touch. Like the woman exaggerated. I don't know what's wrong with Africans.
And it
The
wasn't
way the
nothing but,
woman exaggerated about water.
and it wasn't nothing but some dirty tap water. I got this dirty tap water, nigga. They stopped by the river before they got there, filled it up, filled the shit up because they know you're stupid. They know you're ignorant. Hey, this is holy water. Oh my god! And they white people too. Oh my god, they brought holy water to us. Yeah, you goofy nigga. It's holy water.
And the other thing, there is a place in Uganda called Namugongo. People go there for pilgrimage every year. Like that is the place where, of course, the Uganda martyrs were killed by King Mwanga the second during that time. So there is a river within that place. People go with jerrycans to that place to pick water. They used to warn them that that water is not good. Like a lot of things that in that water, even floods flowing. But people take that water and drink that, But it's not safe. I don't know what people think, but it's not safe. Like these people, they respect the Uganda matters. They were killed because of religion, but in reality, these people deny. They disrespected the king. That's why they were killed. And people take things in that area where those people were killed to be holy. Even if
Mm,
someone finds poop within that area, takes it to be holy. So people are funny
Read
about things.
should told Congress on Thursday that the US has
oops,
not
sorry about that. That's my button to turn this thing down.
received the formal.
Okay. Sorry about this, Heather. You got it.
Okay, like I was saying, people are funny about things. People in Africa, we need to wake up. And our waking up in Africa has to start from knowing the origin of Africa, knowing our identity, not basing on
True.
tribes,
True.
not basing on religion.
Exactly.
If we fail to understand those two things and the way they work and who brought those things here in Africa, we actually our mindset is going to still be enslaved forever.
That's true. But that's why they don't want you to know your real history. That's on purpose.
Because people are getting a lot of people are getting a lot of challenges just because of the way we think.
Of
People
course.
spend people spending nights, people spending days on churches praying, what, doing what, yet they have nothing even in their stomachs. Instead of going to dig, going to hustle, look for money, they spend nights, like they spend days on food war.
That's called a colonized mind. Called a colonized mind, sadly. It's a mind that doesn't work. It will not work. Sad. But and then you're playing on something that didn't even exist. That's why you never taught real history. Praying on this thing, ever go here, we know. Let's see. Images of Serapis. So we know this is the beginning of it, right? So this right here, if I share my screen, I share my screen right here. This is that's why you're not supposed to know history. This is the beginning of where they created your Jesus from this image right here that becomes your Jesus. The Serapis nigga here. This is where it came from. This is where your Jesus came from. This is where Serapis, that's why it's called Serapis Christos. You got Christian, Jesus Christ. This is where you got Serapis. This is where your Jesus came from. This fake figure here, made up. It started in Greece. The Romans liked it. That's why they started creating the Roman Catholic Church from this image that the Greeks got from Africa. They said, hey, make us a god. Africa, we don't make white people no gods. We sound crazy. These nigga, you make us a god that will start killing you people. So they create this image here, Serapis. Then later on, about 600 years later, he becomes your Jesus. This fake character here, it becomes your Jesus. Was Jesus a ripoff of Serapis? Yes, exactly. They know what it was. Was Jesus a ripoff of Serapis? Yes, that's where it came from. That's where Jesus came from this made-up Serapis character. But most Africans, they don't know history. They got this shocking. They got shocking the truth about shocking. Serapis Christos. See, his name was. Then it became Jesus Christ. Most people know Serapis Christos. So that was the name. Christ means that came from Africa. So Christ means it wasn't a person. It wasn't a person named Christ. Christ was a vibration. You vibrated higher as a person and became Christ-like. It's a vibratory rate, right? Serapis Christus. Then becomes Jesus Christ. They are shocking, yeah. This is how it started. They took this from Greece, then the Romans made this after they took over Greece. But this all came from Africa, not these people. This Christ thing. Christ is everybody. It's you. As you raise your vibration and knowledge, okay? You are the Christ. Christ means you in knowledge. As you raise in logic, information, and knowing, you become Christ. The Greeks took it, made it to a person. They say, hey, niggas, we want to be gods. You can't be no god. What are you talking about? You people are fucking backwards and stupid. You can't make you no god. So you make us a god, we'll kill your black ass. And so they made the Serapis Christos. Then when the Romans conquered Greece and the rest of that, they said, man, we like that Serapis Christos shit you made. We like that shit. We need to make us a Roman one. That's where you get the Catholic Church taking that Serapis Christos and making Jesus Christ out of that. If you knew history, you know it's all bullshit. It's made up. And you understand that Christ is not a person. Nobody kept the same name. Christos, Christ, not a person. There's nobody named Jesus Christ. Christ is the title of African people, what you raise in knowledge and reasoning. What you know shit, you become Christ-like. The thing of raising vibration, raising your knowledge level. That allows you to become a Christ, your knowledge. You don't even know the more ignorant you are, the less Christ you are. When you're ignorant, you can't be a Christ. You're a moron. So they took that and changed it so you're not the person. No, Christ is a certain level of knowledge that you reach. You became the Christ once you reach a certain level of knowledge. That's what the Africans called it. When you reach a certain level of knowledge, say, oh, he's a Christ. He's a Christ. He's a Christ. Because you reached a certain level of knowledge and information that made you Christ. That's where it came from. They took the name to a fake person. If you know history, you go back and say, this is bullshit. What? Nobody named no Jesus Christ. Christ was a title, not a person. You became the Christ based on how righteous you were and the knowledge and information that you knew. You reach Christ's level. That's what they African came from Africa. You reach to Christ's level. So if you said you're real smart and you're spiritual, you know a lot of shit. Damn, that was a Christ. Damn, I'm meeting a Christ. That was a Christ. That's what it meant. Wasn't a person. You are the Christ. Once you raised yourself in knowledge and information, you became the Christ. That's what it meant. They took it and made some fake person out of it.
And for like people, whenever like if you tell people such that rich history about Christ and how it came to be Jesus Christ, someone will tell you, I don't need to know about all that stuff. For me, I know a Christian, a Muslim.
Because they're scared not to question. Remember, they were taught their whole life not to question facts. So you're messing with somebody's whole mind. You make your whole mind will be torn apart because you've been told your life is the truth and not the question. And when I bring you the truth and show you easily, hey, this is where it came from. You don't want to accept that. You don't want to accept that. Say like, oh, hell no. I'm not trying to accept none of that. And I take your hand and I walk you through it. So I said, this is the truth. This is what happened. This is where it came from. You're like, oh, no, hell no. You're trying to lead me astray with your wickedness, Keith. You're trying to lead me to the devil. I said, it has nothing to do with the devil, Seto. It's either a fact or it's not. It's just history. It's not, I'm not making it up. I'm not trying to lead you anywhere, brother. I'm just trying to show you this how it came about. I don't need to know. My pastor told me as a kid, that's not what I've been taught. And so you're rejected. That's on purpose. You'll be too scared to know what the truth is. Because you're thinking now you're going, I'm a devil trying to stay away from the God, from the Lord. Because as a child, you've been told never to question anything. So you've indoctrinated your own self as an adult now because you're too scared to even question, step out of it. As a child, you're supposed to learn to question everything. That's how you know if something's actually truthful or real, a reality, and a good thing to know is in nature. Nature. Just studying nature, you know there can never be any white God because the first people on the planet are black. For me to live, these people just showed up. There could never be any white God. Just by studying of nature itself. Nature don't lie, but you won't study it. Nature's a lie. Nature's a lie. Nature's not a lie. Original people here are black all over the world. Original man, original woman are black or African. That's a fact. Not a lie. So there can't be no white God. Because you're creating the image of God. That's a fact. Whether it's in your goopy Bible, you're creating God's image, which is actually truthful. They got that from Africa. So if I'm creating the image of God, God is black. Because nature doesn't lie. So somebody's lying to you, making these fake white gods, fake white Muhammad's and Allahs. Nature shows you that the original man is black, original woman is black, created straight from God. That means God is black. Let me take this call. Go ahead, you guys.
For me, I normally tell people that if at all religion, what is so effective, religion is so good for Africa, anyway, for Africa. It could be one religion. We would be believing, or we would be believing in one religion. But if at all these, we have different religions having different agendas and forging a unit to be like we believe in one God. Yet we are on different, we have different agenda. Different religions have different agendas and objectives which they follow. There is no effectiveness in me being of a different religion and my brother is of different religion, yet these religions have different agendas. This in reality creates disunity. It creates confusion. It creates a lot of conflicts within different people, because people are separated in African countries just because of religion and tribes. Yes, tribes actually move along with with religions, but people are so and so much divided because of religions in Africa. So, Keith, thank you for your time, and thank you for joining me in this show. Thank you for your submissions that you have added to me, because, of course, I didn't know much about the eclipse that is going to happen. That is going to darken, of course, Africa for from 8th. I didn't know about that. Keith, thank you for that. But Africans, we should wake up. We shared a conversation with Keith about my mom and other villagers in my home area. How people are taking this eclipse. This is an eclipse. People are taking things to be so religious. In case people are talking about how suffering is going to come, how famine, how people are going to lose money, how souls, how satanic souls are going to wake up during that time, how things are going to, like, people are exaggerating. People are talking about a lot of things that are going to happen, of course, during 8th of April. A lot of propaganda is spreading, but it is related to religion. But all what these religious people are aiming at is to make money, because already by now a lot of people are giving in their money so that they can be prayed before, anyway, before that time reaches, so that they can repent their sins before that time reach. People are giving in money to pastors so that they can be supported spiritually towards this situation that is going to happen. Very many people are talking about the 3 days. For me, my mom was like, "You bring the kids to the villages." This is what the kid was talking about, so that you may not manage the situation. The situation is going to be bad. Stop fooling people. Religious people in African churches, stop fooling people around about the events that happen about the world. Stop lying people. Stop making people stupid. Stop enslaving people. You would be, actually, the platforms you have would be a good example. It would be very good to preach things that are concerning African issues, things that can help people go out of shit that is actually happening with the world thing and the colonial part of it. A lot of things in Africa are happening. However, like, there is a way Africa is blessed. Like, Africans maneuver everything. They maneuver by force everything. But stop preaching about propaganda of like, stop preaching things that don't help people. Stop enslaving people for money. Stop making people believe that they are not worthy. Stop making African people think they are not worthy to do certain things. Stop making people to think that certain things they are left for certain group of people. Stop promoting tribalism within African communities. Stop promoting lies that are going on in Africa. Stop teaching people things that are irrelevant in Africa. Stop making people praising some people that are not worthy to be praised in Africa. These are the people that have acted as wrong examples to people in Africa, to different people in African countries, and they are the most. They are the most reasons. These are the reasons to be talked about that are making people to be enslaved, people to think backward. African people, we are so wise. We are wise. I believe African people, we are wise. We can do things by our own. So, but the people that could have been the representatives in our societies, these are the people that are making people's brains to be lame. Because if at all we can see pastors flying over, flying over crane within the church, and you say that the Holy Spirit has lifted, stop making people stupid. Stop making people believe in what you say that is right. Um, of course, we have had a long discussion about religion, because this was something that was so urgent that I wanted a clarification, a full clarification, because I was so surprised. I was like, what is going to happen. I was imagining like what's going to happen, why people relating this to religion. But um, Lando, thank you for being here. You may be still online, and for all those people that are silent majorities, they are watching. You can comment in. You can comment in. Keith at first he elaborated and gave a view on Africa, Africa's splitting apart. Yeah, there are a lot of forces, tectonic forces. Of course, Keith said, like people in Africa think that the separation is going to happen tomorrow. Keith showed us here that it takes over 1 to 5 million years for these forces to pull that land to be separated into two. Yes, we believe this claim may come true after 1 to 5 million years from now because this is what science talks about this. This is it happens within that period of time, Africa splitting. So we talked about how the name of Africa, Keith also elaborated on this, the name of Africa, where it came from, the boundaries of Africa, the real boundaries of Africa. And if you know that you're within the African boundaries, he talked about this. The Middle East, people talk about the Middle East. What's the Middle East? The Central, what's that we're talking about? So we were diving into African history and what is Africa. Today we are talking about Africa. We started with the splitting of Africa, so we want to know what is Africa. What is Africa? We know that Africa is considered to be the oldest inhabited territory on Earth. Believe me or not, with the human species originating from the continent, most of the species of human species on the continent, they are believed, they are not even believed, originated from Africa. So during the mid 20th century, we see that they discovered a lot of fossils were discovered and evidence of human occupations, perhaps as early as 7 million years ago. The oldest fossils were discovered in Africa that are believed to be 7 million years ago before the present that we see. So fossils remains on several species of early ape-like humans thought to have evolved into modern humans, such as the Astrophorus and the Phrenesis. So that of course radiomedically dated to approximately to 3.93.0 million years. So we see that after the evolution of the Homo sapiens, approximately to 350,000 years in Africa, the continent was mainly populated by groups of hunters, gatherers, and of course, this first modern human left Africa and populated the rest of the globe during the Out Africa 2 migration dated to approximately 50,000 years. So these people that we see around the world, these people, we believe that people originated from Africa, people spread from different continents, but from Africa, according to the evidentical issues that we are seeing. So the existing the continent either across the Mandab and the Red Sea, the Strait of Gibraltar in Morocco, and of course the Hormuz Suez in Egypt. So other migrations of the modern humans within African continent have been dated to that time, with evidence of the early human settlement from the Southern Africa, Southeast Africa, North Africa, and the Sahara. So the emergence of civilization is also a long story in Africa. We see that the size of the Sahara has historically been extremely variable, with its area rapidly fluctuating and time was disappearing depending on the global climate conditions. So, at the end of the ice ages, we see estimated to have been around 10,000 5,000 years ago. And of course, the Sahara had again been a green, fertile valley, and its African populations returned from the interior and coastal highlands in the sub-Saharan Africa with rock art paintings depicting a fertile Sahara and large populations discovered in Tessiri during, of course, during dating back perhaps in 10 millennia. However, the warming and drying climate meant that the 5,000 years BC, the Sahara region was becoming increasingly dry and hostile around 3,500 BC due to the tilt in the east of the orbit. So the Sahara experienced a period of rapid desertification. The population trekked out of the Sahara region towards the Nile Valley below the second cataract, where they were made permanent or semi-permanent settlements. So a major climate recession occurred, lessening the heavy and persistent rains in the Central and Eastern Africa since this time. So dry conditions have prevailed in East Africa and increasingly during the last 200 years in Ethiopia. So the domestication of cattle in Africa preceded agriculture and seems to have existed alongside the hunter-gatherers culture. So it is speculated that by 600 BC, 6000 BC, cattle were domesticated in North Africa. The Sahara Nile complex people domesticated many animals, including donkey, small screw-horned goat, which was, of course, common from Algeria and Nubia. Between 10,000 and 9000 BC, pottery was independently invented in the region, and Mali in the savannah of the Western Africa, in the steppes of and savannas of the Sahara and the Sahel north of Africa. So I'm talking about the civilization is the civilized different civilizations in Africa. So the West Africa people, possibly ancestral to modern Nilo-Saharan and Mande cultures, started to collect wild millet around 8,000 to 6,000 BC. Later, goats, watermelons, castor beans, and of course, cotton were also collected. Sorghum was the first domesticated in the eastern Sudan around 4,000 years BC, in one of the earliest instances of agriculture in human history. Its civilization would gradually spread across Africa before spreading to India around 2000 BC. People around modern-day Mauritania started making pottery and built stone settlements. So fishing using bone-tipped harpoons and of course became a major activity in the numerous streams and lakes formed from the increased rains in the West Africa. The wet phase ushered in the expanding rainforest and wooded savanna from Senegal and Cameroon between the 9,000 and 5,000 years of BC. So Niger Kong speakers domesticated the oil palm and of course the raffle palm, black-eyed peas, and of course Viondezera, the African ground nuts, you know about this. So were domesticated, followed by the okra and the kola nuts. Since most of the plants grew in forest, the Niger Congo speakers invented polished stones, axes to clearing forests during that time. So around 4000 BC, we see that the Saharan climate started to become the drier and exceedingly fast pace. So this climate change caused lakes and rivers to shrink significantly and caused the increasing desertification. So this in turn decreased the amount of land conducive to settlement and encouraged migration of farming communities to the more, of course, tropical climate of the West Africa. During the first millennia BC, we see a reduction in wild grain populations related to the changing environment, conditions that facilitated the expansion of farming communities and the rapid adoption of the rice cultivation and the Niger River. By the first millennium, iron working had been introduced in North Africa around that time. It also became established in parts of sub-Saharan Africa, either through independent invasion there or diffusion from the north, and vanished under unknown circumstances around 500 AD, having lasted approximately to 2000 years. And 500 BC, metal working began to become commonplace in West Africa. Ironworking was fully established by roughly 500 BC in many areas of the East and Western Africa, although other regions did not begin ironworking until the early centuries of CE. So, copper objects from Egypt, North Africa, Nubia, and of course Ethiopia, dating around 500 BC, have been evacuated in West Africa, suggesting that the trans-Saharan trade networks had been established by this date. So, uh, uh, the early civilizations of Africa, it is something that is big, of course, in Africa. It is something that we can't skip without talking about this. We can't skip. We can't go back. We can't go further when we talk about African history without talking about such civilizations in Africa. About 33,000 BC, the historical record opens in North Africa with the rise of literally in the pharaonic civilization of the ancient Egypt. So, one of the world's earliest and long-lasting civilizations. So the Egyptian state continued the varying levels of influence over other areas until the 343 BC. Egyptian influence reached deep into modern day Libya and Nubia, and according to African history, we see that Libya and Nubia, they are one of those longest countries that shared a civilization from the Egyptian, of course, civilization, because Libya, I mean Egypt, was stretching to that side. So, an independent center of civilization with the trading links from the pharaonic was established by the Phoenicians from the Tyre on the northwest African coast at the Carthage. So, European exploration of Africa began with the ancient Greeks and Romans. So, in 3032, in 332 BC, uh, Alexander the Great was welcomed as a liberator of the Persian occupied Egypt. He founded Alexandria in Egypt. We know this place, Alexandria Airport. A lot of things were named about after this guy. So, which would become the most prosperous capital of the Ptolemaic dynasty after his death. Following the conquest of the North Africa's Mediterranean coastline by the Roman Empire, the area was integrated economically and culturally into the Roman system. Roman settlement occurred in the modern Tunisia and elsewhere along the coast. So the first Roman emperor native in the North Africa was Septimius Severus, born in Leptis Magna in present-day Libya. His mother was an Italian Roman and his father was Punic. So Christianity spread across these areas at an early date. So from Judea via Egypt and beyond the borders of Roman world into Nubia. So by 340 AD, at the latest, it had become a state region of Aksumite Empire. The Syro-Greek missionaries who arrived by the way of the Lord Sea were responsible for the theological development. So, in the early 17th century, we see the new reformed Arabian Islamic Caliphate expanded into Egypt. So, and then into the North Africa, in the short while, the local Berber elite had been integrated into Muslim Arab tribes when the Umayyad capital Damascus fell in the 8th century. The Islamic center of the Mediterranean shifted from Syria to, of course, Cairalian in the North Africa. Islamic North Africa had become diverse and a hub for mystics, the jurists, and of course philosophers. During above mentioned period, Islam spread to sub-Saharan Africa mainly through trade routes and migrations. In West Africa, we see that Dar and Katara in present-day Mauritania figure prominently among the early urban centers dated to 2000 BC. About 500 stone settlement later, the region in the former savanna of the Sahara, its inhabitants fished and grew millet. It has been found by Augustine, of course, as Yonke and Mande people were likely responsible for constructing such settlements. Around 300 BC, we see the region became more desiccated and the settlements began to decline, most likely relocating to Kombi Sel. So, architectural evidence and the comparison of pottery styles suggest that Da was related to the subsequent Ghana Empire. So we see that it was settled around 300 BC, and the town grew to house of the sizable Iron Age population, and evidenced by the crowded cemeteries. Living structures were made of sun-dried mud. By 250 BC, we see that Geno had become a large, thriving market town. Further south in central Nigeria, around 1500 BC, the Nok culture developed on the Josh Plateau. It was a highly centralized community. The Nok people produced lifelike representations in terrestrial, including the human heads and human figures, elephants and other animals. By 500 BC and possibly earlier, they were smelting iron. By 200 AD, we see that the Nok culture in Nigeria had vanished under unknown circumstances around 500 AD, having lasted approximately for 2000 years, based on stylistic similarities with the Nok characters. The bronze figurines of the Yoruba kingdom of life and the youth of the Benin kingdom of Benin are suggested to be the continuations of the traditions of the earlier Nok culture in Nigeria. In 19th centuries, we see that pre-colonial Africa possessed perhaps as many as 10,000 different states and polities, so characterized by many different sorts of political organizations and rules. So these included small family groups and hunter-gatherers such as the San people of South Africa, larger, more structured groups such as the family clan groupings and the Bantu-speaking peoples of the Central, Southern, and Eastern Africa. Heavily structured clan, of course, groups in the Horn of Africa. The large, of course, Sahelian kingdoms and the autonomous city states of the kingdom, such as, of course, the Akan, Edo, Yoruba, and the Igbo people in the West Africa, and the Swahili coastal trading towns in of the Southeast Africa. By the 19th century, we see a strain of dynastic states, including the earliest Hausa states, stretched across the sub-Saharan savanna from the western regions to the central Sudan. The most powerful of these states were Ghana, Gao, and of course the Kenembo Empire in Ghana. So Ghana declined in the 11th century but was succeeded by the Mali Empire, which consolidated much of the Western Sudan in the 13th century. Kenem accepted Islam in the 11th century. We see in the forested regions of the Western Africa coast, independent kingdoms grew with the little influence from the Muslim north. The kingdom of the Neri was established around the 19th century and was one of the first. It is also one of the oldest kingdoms in the present-day Nigeria and was ruled by the Easy Nile. So the Nile Kingdom is of course famous for the elaborate bronzes found at the town of the Ibo Uku. The bronzes have been dated from the far back as the 19th century. So the kingdom of the life of the Ife, historically the first of these Yoruba city states of the old kingdom, established government under priestly Oba, king or a ruler of course the Yoruba language or the Yoruba speaking people. So called or known or Noi of La of Ife. So Ife was noted as the major religious and cultural center in the Western Africa, and for its unique naturalistic tradition of the bronze sculpture, the Ife model of government was adapted at the Oyo Empire, where its Abbas or kings called the Arafins of Oyo, one controlled a large number of other Yoruba and non-Yoruba city-states and kingdoms. So the foreign kingdom of the Homi was one of the non-Yoruba domains under the Oyo control. When we talk about the Almoravids, were a Boer and Berber dynasty from the Sahara that spread over a wide area of northwestern Africa and the Iberian Peninsula during the 11th century. The Banu Eilal and the Banu Makwil were a collection of Arab, of course, Benunian tribes from the Arabian Peninsula who migrated westwards via Egypt between the 11th century and 13th century. So their migration resulted in the fusion of Arab and Berbers, where the locals were Arabized and the Arab culture absorbed elements of the local culture under the unifying framework of Islam. So following the breakup of Mali, a local leader named as the Soni Ali founded the Songhai Empire. Now we come to the Songhai Empire. Founded the Songhai Empire in the region of the Middle Niger and the Western Sudan. So, and it took control of the trans-Saharan trade. Soni Ali says the Timokufotu and of course the Jenny buildings in his regime on trade revenues and the cooperation of Muslim merchants. His successor Muhammad made Islam the official the region, built mosques and brought to Gao Muslim scholars, including the Majid, uh, the founder of the important tradition of Sudanic African Muslim scholarship. So by the 11th century, some coastal states such as the Kano, Ijawa, Kusina, and of course Gobil had developed into a wealthy towns engaging in trade, servicing caravans, and of course manufacture of goods until the 15th century. These small states were on the periphery of the major Sudanic empires of the era, paying tribute to the Songhai to the west and the Kenem Bono to the east. So we are going into, of course, uh, African history. Africa, we are talking about Africa. I think what I'm talking about, they're not lies. If at all I say any lie about Africa, I ask to be corrected. I ask to be corrected where if I go wrong for if I make any statement that is not true about Africa, about a short history that I'm going through about Africa and how we started a long way with Keith about the name of Africa. Now, this is the real history about Africa, different tribes in Africa, how it came about, how colonialism came into Africa, how all these things happened, so that Africans we are able to wake up. Africans, we are able to know our origin. Africans, we are not separated just because of the religion and tribes that were brought in by foreigners here in Africa. We do all this so that to create identity for our own in Africa, so that we can be differentiated from other people, so that we can have identity as we Africans. So the heights of um, slave trade is actually also a big topic to be discussed on in Africa, because a lot of people were enslaved. A lot of people were taken for slavery from Africa. This is something that happened for some good time, for something that happened for a long time. People being raided, people being taken forcefully from their families, uh, people people dying on the way of slavery, because during this time people used to use their food shubbish. People used to walk to the sea so that they can be transported to Western countries. A lot of people went through a lot during that time. People were traumatized in African communities. People, even up to now, they're still going through uh, that traumatization wherever they are in different countries, wherever they took them, they are going through a lot. They are going through a lot in respective countries. Even people here in Africa, we are going through a situation that can't be compensated. You can't compensate Europe or colonizers or slave masters. They can't compensate Africa fully to the atrocities they did in Africa, and one of them is slavery. So, slavery had a long been practiced in Africa between the 15th and the 19th century. So, the Atlantic slave trade took an estimated 7 to 12 million slaves to the New World, to what to be called the New World. And by the way, the number is actually unknown. A lot of people were taken, these are just estimations, but a lot of people were taken, like a lot of people were taken. So, in addition, more than 1 million Europeans were captured by the barbaric pirates and sold as slaves in North Africa between the 16th and 19th century. So, in West Africa, the deadline of the Atlantic slave trade in the 1820s caused the dramatic economic shifts in local polities, so polities. So, the gradual decline of slave trading, prompted by the lack of demand for slaves in New World or Europe, increasingly anti-slavery legislation in Europe and, of course, USA, the British Royal Navy's increasing presence off the West African coast obliged African states to adopt new economies. Between 808 and of 860, the British West Africa Squadron seized approximately 1,600 slave ships and freed over 150,000 Africans who were abroad, were aboard. These people were boarded on these ships and taken. So action was also taken against African leaders who refused to agree to British forced treaties during this time, because this time these people, they knew whatever they were doing was, of course, wrong. They knew that they were doing, of course, atrocities in Africa. What they did is, like, they used to force African leaders, because people believed so much in leaders in African communities. These people talk about politics. These people talk about democracy, Africa not having democracy, Africa not having organized democracy. Like, we copied from those people, but we had our own system that was running within African communities. We had our own democracy. We had our own political system in Africa that was running, which actually was not even documented anywhere. But it was a kind of life that everyone had responsibility for the society. Everyone had what to give in for a society. So people believed in leaders in Africa because leaders were there before the coming of these people. However, these people are like they deceive us. They make us believe that leadership has started or after colonialism. During after these people, that leadership has come into existence. Leadership was here in Africa before, and leaders were there. Leaders were there in different communities in Africa. Leaders were there. Even a leader of a family, the father is a leader and was a leader, and these people had the responsibilities towards the community and of course Africa. So people they believed so much in leaders during this time. We see that action was also taken against African leaders who refused to agree to British treaties. Africa is suffering. Uh, Africa is going through a lot and suffering. Even up to now, we are suffering because of the treaties that was signed by that was signed forcefully by our ancestral leaders, by the people that lived before us. We are suffering because of these treaties that were signed. Trust me or not, Africa is suffering because of these the forced treaties British and other oppressors used in Africa. So action was taken against African leaders who refused to agree to British treaties to outlaw, of course, the trade. For example, against the uprising of the king of the Lagos, disposed in 1851, and slavery treaties were signed with over 50 African rulers. So the largest powers of the West Africa are talking about the Asante Confederacy, the Kingdom of the Dahomey, and the Oyo Empire adopted different ways of adapting the shift. So Asante and Dahomey concentrated on development and legitimate currency in the form of palm oil, cocoa, timber, gold, and forming of bedrock of the West African modern export trade, and the oil empire, unable to adapt, collapsed into civil wars. So that was, of course, that was slavery. Hey family, hey Jib Jabba, hello Jib Jabba, hello Jib Jabba, how are you Jib Jabba? Hope you're doing good. Thank you for coming through today. Uh, we are going through Africa. Uh, a lot of beliefs, a lot of rumor uh, is increasing day and night every day that Africa is splitting into two, that Africa is in process of separating. So a lot of people you can't meet you can't buy if you meet 10 people, at least 3 to 7 people they're talking about the separation. I don't know why people get like scared like about certain things. This is because of ignorance. So I don't know what is your submission on Africa splitting. I don't know what is your submission about this, but this is our topic of discussion today. And I'm trying to go through African history, African molding, how things happened before and how things are running today in Africa. And at this time, I'm talking about colonialism. We know that the scramble for Africa was the invasion, colonization, and partition of the most of Africa among the seven Western European powers during the new imperialism of course, 1833 to 1914, at the beginning of the First World War. So this is the time when Africa was partitioned, when Africa was demarcated, when Africa was given names, when African natural resources, African and physical futures were given names, uh, depending on the colonizers, depending on the partitionists, depending on these imperialists. So in 1870, 10% of the continent was formerly under European control. By 1914, this figure had risen to almost 90%, with only Liberia and Ethiopia retaining their full sovereignty. So, the 1884 Berlin Conference regulated European colonization and trade in Africa and is seen as emblematic of the scramble. In the last quarter of the 19th century, there were considerable political rivalries between the European empires, which provided the impetus for the scramble. The later years of the 19th century saw transition from informal imperialism to military influence and economic dominance to direct rule. So, with the deadline of the European colonial empires in the wake of both world wars, most of their African possessions achieved independence during the Cold War. However, the old imperial boundaries and economic systems imposed by the scramble continue to affect the politics and economies of African countries even up to date. So this was time of colonialism and how colonialism transformed from humble colonialism to direct rule. Now these people use the force on African people, on stealing, on destroying African people, on killing. These people they destroy everything on African people. Now we transform from, of course, from informal imperialism to military influence and economic influence in African communities, where we see whether we saw all these people coming out with guns, where we see these people coming out with a lot of things so that they can possess issues in African countries. Because of course, at the beginning of the First War in 1914 and at the end of the First War in 1918, European nations were never the same. They lost a lot of resources during the war, so they wanted to, of course, combat and compensate everything they lost in the war. So they depended so much on African resources and raw materials. Africans now, these people started demarcating, these people started raising up their flags in African countries so that they can possess everything. So to meet the demands of the things that they lost during the First World War. So independence, we see that independence struggles, imperial rule by Europeans would continue until after the conclusion of the First World War II in 1945. So yeah, it started in 1939 and ended in 1945, when almost all remaining colonial territories gradually obtained formal independence. Independence movements in Africa gained momentum following World War II, which left the major European powers weakened. In 1951, Libya, a former Italian colony, gained independence. In 1956, Tunisia and Morocco won their independence from France. Ghana followed suit the next year in 1957, becoming the first of the sub-Saharan colonies to be granted independence. Most of the rest of the continent became independent over the next decade. So Portugal's overseas presence in sub-Saharan Africa, mostly notably in Angola, Cape Verde, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, Sao Tome, and Principe, lasted from the 16th century to, of course, 1975, after a Stado-Novo's regime was overthrown in a military coup in Lisbon, Rhodesia, literally and literally declared independence from the United Kingdom in 1965 under the white minority government of the Ian Smith, but was not intentionally recognized as independent state as Zimbabwe until 1980, when black nationalists gained power after the bitter guerrilla war. Although South Africa was one of the first African countries to gain independence, the state remained under the control of the white minority, initially through qualified voting rights, from the 1956 by a system of racial segregation known as apartheid until 1994. So uh, that is the independence struggles in African countries. However much these struggles started, and of course Africans uh, were deceived to have won these independence struggles within that time of 1950s to 60s, even South Africa in 1994. But Africa has never been independent of what we see today, of the things that we see today. Africa has never been independent. If we can still see a lot of Bazungu still fighting for Africa, Bazungus engaging in African politics, supporting different rebel groups, supporting different governments, like providing ammunitions, exchanging resources for infrastructures in African countries, we can never say that Africa is independent, because these people still have a footprint in African countries, and this actually is one of the problems besides tribalism, and of course religion that we have in African countries is Africans and Africa. We deceive ourselves that we are independent. We make a lot of lies about ourselves. We believe that just because of this is just a mindset that is within us. We think that we are independent, and African presidents have not done enough since the day of independence. The presidents that have been recurring in African governments, different African governments, they have not done enough to show that Africa is independent, because these are puppets that serve masters from European countries. These are people that are given power by those people, by the European countries. These are people that are supported by European countries, and if at all these European countries they don't support you, I swear a government can't even stand. They can't give a government to stay for a day, because they have a lot of interests in Africa, including raw materials, because Africa is rich with oil, with gold, with a lot of rich minerals that are in Africa, expensive minerals that are in Africa, that are valuable to different things that we see in daily life. But they can't leave us have independence. However much we look at independence, we celebrate independence, like we can no longer see more governance, British governance on behalf of Britain in African countries. But there are a lot of things. Neo-colonialism is existing in African countries. The languages we use in Africa, like almost all African countries, they are using foreign languages as official languages. People were assimilated. When you look at French policies, these people used a lot of policies. They used direct rule, indirect rule, and of course assimilation policy by the French people. They could make Africans believe that they are Frenchmen in Africa. They are French Africans. I don't know Africans, but I don't know that Africans went to wake up. And actually, in most French colonies, people, besides speaking the French language, people still behave like French people. Like these people, there is a way they lied about Africans in these guys, and Africans started behaving. They started, of course, developing wings, behaving like French people. But after calling them Frenchmen, they tell them to mob officers. They enslave people. They kill and root everything in African countries after calling you like you're French in Africa. You're French from Africa. So Jibjaba says, well, thank you. You need a reduction about the poverty. Is it your real history? True, true, true. You as an African, Black Americans, Trujib Jabba, Trujib Jabba, African communities were never poor. African community, because if at all civilization started from Africa, why could we be poor? If at all we see, and by the way, uh, African, our ancestors like use the resources. They knew the importance of resources. It is this error that doesn't know the use, that doesn't know what Africa holds, because it was actually very difficult for our ancestors to give out things freely. That's why actually leaders, African leaders were forced to sign treaties. That's why African leaders were killed just because they knew what Africa was holding by the time. That is Trujillo Jabba. And if at all we can realize that Africa is not poor and has never been poor, and we wake up on this, we need to wake up and realize that we have never been poor in Africa and we can never be poor. But it is the mindset that is actually disturbing our brains. It is our mindset that is disturbing our brains due to the things these people created 100 years ago. Actually, they're not too many years like these people presented their dialect existence in African countries. But like Jibjaba always say, we need 100 years to transform because these people, of course, have been existing in African continent for the last 100 years. So we need 100 years to transform. But how are we going to transform within those 100 years? Is by changing our mindset over very many things in Africa because they are not for African beings. Some of the things in Africa they are not compatible for Africans, and actually there is a way we were blessed in Africa to maneuver everything because a lot of things have been put on African soil but people have maneuvered. Currently, currently in Uganda for the last 7 days, they announced the red eye disease amongst schools. Like this thing is spreading on high speed. It is, there is a way everything they give, like they send, like they poured these diseases to Africa. They know that now people are waking up in African countries. Now they're targeting kids, they are targeting young population, what everything things concerning about gay lesbianism, LGBTQ, they are targeting the young generation because they know these are the people that are innocent about a lot of things. They don't know a lot of things because if you teach a young kid about something, they learn quickly. And it is very difficult to transform from that. So they target young kids. If at all they bring in diseases, they target schools and young kids. They want to bring in, of course, immunization. They go to schools because they know the young generation, of course, these are the people that are going to stay in here tomorrow in this in Africa. So they target young because people are waking up for these kind of things that these people do. So the post-colonial Africa, uh, it is very hard. It is very sorry to talk about the post-colonial Africa because we have never experienced post-colonial Africa. However, these people left. We can no longer see them directly. However, these people coming back, if at all we can see uh, foreign armies in different African countries. We see foreign army bases, like you see real whites in different African countries. So we can never say that there is post-colonial Africa because colonialism has never ended unless to people that are blind, that are not updated about a lot of things, because we see that the colonization in Africa gave birth to neo-colonialism in African states. So today Africa continues with, of course, 54 sovereign countries, most of which have borders that were demarcated by colonial masters. Um, um, that of course were drawn during the era of colonialism, like I said, since fake independences they given in the early 1950s. African states have, of course, frequently been hampered by instability, corruption, violence, and of course, authoritarianism. So, um, Jibjaba, I want to ask you this. You may help me in this, Jibjaba. Jibjaba, you may help me in this. Yes, Jibjaba, you may help me in this. Why is it that after Africa getting what was called to be independence, this is when we start to see the vices of instability in Africa? Africa has never been stable ever since the day of independence. Africa has never been stable. Africa has never been stable. We know that. A lot of corruption, bribery. is going on different institutions in African governments. The judiciary, like it was created, different ministry and different ministries and different government uh, programs. Corruption is going on. We see violence, like real violence from different governments, authoritarianism. And authoritarianism, this is something for me, according to my own understanding, which I say that there is no one, there is no African who could wish to treat his people badly, who could wish to kill people without innocent people in African countries. But these are people that are influenced, these are puppets that are influenced from the Western world. These are people that are selling out Africa to the Western world. These are the people that are giving Chinese leases, 100 days lease in African communities. Yet Africa is not gaining in this puppet ship. If at all this puppet ship was helpful to Africans, if at all, because me as Innosetu, I have a share of Uganda because I'm a native of Africa. I have a share of African soils. I have a share. But do I get the share? Do I get the resources? Do I get back what these people decide on behalf of African people towards their puppet master? So the vast majority of African states are republics now, and that operate under some form of the presidential system of rule. However, a few of them have been also a sustained democratic government on the permanent basis. So the criteria laid out by, of course, laid in Botswana and Mauritius have been consistently democratic for the entirety of their post-colonial history. So, um, uh, so um, um, most African countries have experienced several coups or periods of military dictatorship between 1990 and, of course, 2024. Through the continent as a whole has trended towards more democratic governance. So, upon the independence, an overwhelming majority of Africans lived in extreme poverty. In extreme poverty, this is rare. This is rare. So the continent suffers from lack of infrastructure and industrial development under colonial rule, along the political instability with limited financial resources or access to global markets. Relatively stable countries such as, of course, relatively countries such as Kenya still experience only very few slow economic development. Only a handful of African countries succeed in obtaining economic growth prior to 1990, exception including Libya and Equatorial Guinea, both of which possesses large oil reserves in Africa. So instability throughout the continent after decolonization resulted primarily from marginalization of ethnic groups and corruption. So, in pursuit of the personal political gain, many leaders deliberately promoted ethnic conflicts in
Damn,
Africa.
you still alive, Seto? Shoot. Okay. All right.
Uh,
Yeah. I got my camera. I had to get some clothes on. I was running around here butt naked, Seto. You can't be doing that on air. I had to put some clothes on, Seto. You can't be running around naked.
okay.
Seto don't know you. Seto don't know how to respond. Hey, okay. I don't know. Yeah, you can't be running around naked, Seto. Not a good look. Anyway, I'm gonna let Seto go, guys. Let him do it himself. I gotta start the show with Joby in a minute, so I'm gonna let Seto have his piece. So what you talking about now, Seto? I ain't gonna come disrupt the show.
Okay. 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 Jib Jabba says. Okay, Jib Jabba, thank you for being here. So
Oh, you wrapping it up. Oh, you wrapping it up. I'm sorry. You wrapping it up, Seto?
It's okay.
Are you wrapping it up, Seto? Are you getting? Are you coming to the end? Are you wrapping up?
Sorry?
Are you wrapping it up? Are you about to go off?
Like right?
Wrapping it up. Are you finished? Are you getting done? That's what we said.
Yeah.
Take care. Okay, you were wrapping up. Okay, I'm gonna let you go and let you wrap. That means wrap it up. That means yeah, you were finishing. Let me let you go
Uh,
and finish.
no, no, no. I'm silly. I have to complete the 3 hours.
Ain't it 3 hours? How many hours you got? How many hours have you done?
It is 2 hours and something minutes.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna let you go. You got it. You got it, Seto. I'm gonna let you go. You got it, brother. Have a good weekend.
Okay.
Expect to pay on Monday. You'll get paid on Monday, so expect to pay on Monday. No, no, please don't take it to the church of your mama, please. But that's your choice. But that's your choice. That's your choice. That's your choice, Seto. You can do what you want with your money. You want to give it to the church of your mama? That's your choice.
She's scared. She's scared about the situation that may come towards.
Right? So she wants your money. There you go. Seto, Seto, baby, it's time to give me your goddamn money now. It's going shit, shit's about to get ugly. I need you, baby. Gotta get to the village. Pastor needs all kind of money. All right, mama.
She said that the situation needs a prayerful person that I may not manage. Needs someone who is prayerful. A situation that is coming.
Okay. Good luck. Good luck to you. Uh, now you can give her all your money, Seth. That's up to you. I can't do nothing. Once I give you your pay, you do what you want to do with it. It's your money. It's your money, Seth. You do whatever you want to do with it. It's your money, brother. So much love, Seth. You have a good weekend.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Keith, for being here with me. Thank you for trekking with me. Thank you for taking me warmly through this show. Thank you so much. It has been a great show. It has been a great show. It has been so nice. It has been so nice. It has been so nice. Thank you, Keith. Thank you for those people that have been commenting in, starting with Lando Winter. Thank you so much, Lando. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, and have a nice weekend. Thank you for commenting in. Thank you. I'm always grateful. The big cheese, big cheese. Thank you. Thank you for dropping in that great comment I saw from you, Big Cheese. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here and showing support for the show. Jib Jabba. Jib Jabba, thank you so much and have a nice weekend, guys. For those that have been watching me, of course, there are those silent majorities. They are watching from comfort zones, like they don't want to be tampered. They're in comfort. Thank you for always supporting Black Hot Fan Network shows. Like I always say, it doesn't end from watching. It is always a good idea. Like you share some of these videos to your friends to share because it's being selfish is also not good. It is good to make a subscription. You refer to friends, you send links to friends so that they can always also come in and join us as a family when we're talking about African history, African issue, African people. Thank you for always watching. Thank you for always showing support towards Black Code Fire Network, Facebook, Black Code Fan, Black Code Fire Radio Station. Like and follow the page. Of course, YouTube, it is Black Hot Fire Network radio station. Don't forget to join in. Don't forget to subscribe. And of course, Twitter is Black Hot Fire New One. We have also a TikTok account which is Black Hot Fire Radio, Black Hot Fire Network Store. Don't forget to follow that page and for all to always watch us. Of course, broadcasting such shows. Thank you for showing support, guys. Thank you for loving me. I was broadcasting live from Kampala, Uganda. I remain Innosetu. Should have been alone in studio. I hope Maria will get better by Monday. She got some small sickness, but I know she will be fine on Monday. And guys, without wasting time, we meet on Monday. Thank you. Have a nice weekend, everyone that has been tuning in. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.